Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured. I spoke with him last night. I'm grateful. He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. We do not know the motive of the shooter yet. We don't know his opinions or affiliations. We don't know whether he had help or support or if he communicated with anyone else. Law enforcement professionals, as I speak, are investigating those questions. Tonight, I want to speak to what we do know. A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. We've traveled before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer.
Donald Trump was shot at during a political rally, and Joe Biden wants to tamp down the violence. It's the politics of an assassination attempt on this watch list.
As I said last night, there is no place in America for this kind of violence or any violence for that matter. An assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for as a nation, everything. It's not who we are as a nation. It's not America. And we cannot allow this to happen. Unity is the most elusive goal of all, but nothing is important than that right now, unity. We'll debate and we'll disagree. That's not going to change, but we're going to not lose sight, in fact, who we are as Americans.
The president is so concerned with making sure that the shooter at the former president's rally on Saturday won't turn into the norm fueled by conspiracies that he supported it. He decided to condemn it in multiple speeches. But I think everyone knows it's a futile attempt in our political climate.
Here's the thing. I mean, it's an objective truth that Donald Trump is probably the most persecuted and attacked political figure in history, certainly among presidents, maybe at least since Abraham Lincoln, Civil War era. And that takes a toll. I mean, when my colleagues go out, Democrat colleagues, and say democracy will end, the republic will be in an emergency stage if Donald Trump wins for president, it's just not true. It's another election. And when they say that kind of rhetoric and they heat it up like that, there are people out there that take these things to heart and they act upon them. Politicians are not responsible for that, but we do have a responsibility to be responsible. I mean, we're not asking for much. Let's just dial the rhetoric down. Let's have a vigorous debate. That's what our country's built upon. But we have to see one another as fellow Americans and not enemies.
So there goes Mike Johnson again, looking and sounding like a calculus teacher, while openly telling supporters that Biden illustrating Donald Trump's constant drumbeat of fascism is what caused the shooting. And for people that have not been paying attention to the daily political spin, they may not remember that Trump regularly says it'll be the end of the country if Biden wins, as well as this.
I do want to point out, just for fairness, I don't want to get into an argument about this, but the former president himself has also used that kind of rhetoric. He said on June 27th, Joe Biden is a threat to democracy, a threat to the survival and existence of our country itself. That's certainly the same kind of language you're talking about.
Listen, everybody is prone to overstatement, okay? I mean, a few days ago, earlier this week, Joe Biden actually said we need to put Donald Trump in the bullseye. I mean, right? I don't think either of those men meant to imply anything beyond just rhetoric, but the point is the rhetoric has consequences.
Oh, so suddenly both men are prone to overstatement. When the full picture is presented to dishonest guys like this guy, Mike Johnson, the story changes really quick to, it's not that bad when Trump says it. He feels like it's his job to act like he's horrified by the situation while pouring more partisan gasoline on the fire. What he wants is to use the shooting to silence political opponents from showing the dangers that his candidate presents. It's American Politics 101. They don't care that he was shot. They see it as an opportunity.
The road we're going down is President Lincoln that said a house divided against itself cannot stand. I've been saying for quite some time, as much as we're not addressing our debt and deficit issue, I think the greatest threat to America right now is the fact that we're horribly divided. But the good news, Jake, is there's no reason for us to be divided, honestly. If you consider the main goals in life, most Americans, most people globally are in agreement. We want safety, we want security, we want enough opportunity so we can provide for ourselves and our family.
One thing that I have found upsetting, if I can editorialize for 1 second, is the degree to which so many Americans claim to love their country but hate their fellow Americans. And I'm not talking about Republicans or Democrats. I'm just I see it everywhere, and I'm wondering if that's something that concerns you too.
It does. That's what I said. The greatest threat to our nation right now is we're horribly divided. But again, in general, we share the same goals. So, why are we so divided? Well, there are political figures, there are political groups. I would argue that's what identity politics is about. That's what critical race theory is about. So there are people who are purposely trying to divide us for political advantage. Resist it. Don't let them get away with it.
Ron Johnson just said, there are people trying to divide us for political advantage. And he also said that we share the same goals of safety, security, and enough opportunity to provide for ourselves and our families. He said all that right before claiming that we're divided because of CRT, with zero awareness that it addresses elements in our society that limit some Americans' access to, get this, safety, security, and opportunity to provide for ourselves and our families. Ron Johnson's politics is strictly based in division, and seeing Trump getting shot must have excited him to have a new catalyst for his goals. But he's not the only one. Congressman Mike Collins lacks all kinds of awareness. So he tweeted, the Republican district attorney in Butler County, Pennsylvania, should immediately file charges against Joseph R. Biden for inciting an assassination. Mike Collins is so amped up on the political violence that he only wants to see from MAGA, he didn't even realize that it wasn't an assassination because Trump wasn't killed. Basic facts don't matter when your objective is to play politics and quickly and as vehemently as possible. These are the same people that didn't see any connection between Trump telling his supporters that were in person in front of him to march down to the Capitol to disrupt the transfer of power, because they'll never take back their country with weakness, that they have to be strong. They also forgot about how Trump laughed at and celebrated an attempted murder against Paul Pelosi, or a bunch of Trumpers trying to run a Biden bus off the road in Texas. Remember this?
It should be actually pretty good, I think.
Oh, that's perfect.
No, they slowed way down when I got in front of them. Looks like Stevie just got here.
Hey, Crash, you gotta speak loud. I really can't hear it at all whenever you talk.
Running them out of Texas. It is hilarious. I'm about to run out of gas, which I'm sure some of you would love. Oh my God. This car is trying to get in. That's the car that's with the bus. California plates. Y'all saw that here.
So sadly, there aren't many signs that the political rhetoric, or even worse, political violence, will calm down after this assassination attempt. The politicians that think they'll benefit from it just won't allow it. They've decided to use it to further the same baseless arguments that they're honorable people fighting against Americans that want to kill you. So when the evidence shows it's all nonsense with some added projection on top, they don't stop. They just ignore it and move on.
There's a lot we could say and discuss about political rhetoric. I want to ask you very specifically about some of the responses we've seen, and just get your reaction. Senator J.D. Vance, as you know, a potential VP nominee, said in the wake of the shooting, quote, "Today is not just some isolated incident. The central premise of the Biden campaign is that President Donald Trump is an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs." That rhetoric led directly to President Trump's attempted assassination. Another Republican Congressman, Mike Collins, said, quote, "Joe Biden sent the orders." I just want to get your take, Senator, because you are talking about where this country needs to go. Do you think, and do you have concerns that that type of rhetoric, drawing those conclusions so immediately, could only fuel this moment and the tensions?
Well, there's a lot of frustration on our side about the way President Trump has been treated, but I'm just grateful today that he's alive. I mourn for the man who didn't make it, and, you know, we'll have a chance here to talk about, you know, what's best for America, but let's just today be grateful that our former president, political nominee, survived an assassination attempt, and I'll try to do better here. I don't want to go down that road right now.